Welcome to Dr. Mary Travelbest's 5 Steps to Solo Travel Guide for people like you who need extra support traveling one at a time. Please share these ideas and add your own. I appreciate your feedback and travel suggestions. I'm working on a playbook and a third book in the series about 90 days around the world. In this episode, the FAQ is, what are the best theme parks for those in their prime years? Today's destination is Istanbul, Turkey, part 1 of 2. And today's misstep? Ask for specific directions and then listen better. And travel advice? Get a better exchange rate than in a busy tourist city. The FAQ, what are the best theme parks for those in their prime years? The answer is, I think the best theme parks for adults are the Disney ones. They've been friendly for generations, and you can always find someone to answer your questions, that is, a cast member. You will pay more than for other parks, but you have the franchise behind you to almost guarantee you a good visit. Prepare ahead of time with any needs you have for accommodations and accessibility. My friend Ron was in a wheelchair there recently, and he agreed that the multi-generation experience was good for him. Listen to some of my previous podcasts about Disneyland, Disney World, and California Adventure. And now today's destination, Istanbul, Turkey. Turkey was a different kind of experience, and I highly recommend you go there if you want to see some variety of culture. It's different from most places I've been to in my life. Yes, I did find someone selling carpets, so I will share that later in the episode. I was in Turkey for 7 nights. First, it is centrally located near Taksim Square at the Wabi Sabi Hostel. I was there for 4 nights. And then, second home for 2 nights, plus the Airbnb with Miss for 1 night. With all of my travel, I managed to also include a budget 1-hour massage, which I highly recommend. Here's my carpet store tale. I was asking for directions and encountered a man named Barak Solak, who worked at the Red Apple Carpet Store. He sells carpets, purses, and jewelry at his uncle's store. I told him to put an Apple sign out front, but he disagreed. What do you think? If you're solo like me, I recommended the day tours. Try one of those hop on, hop off. It was about $40 for 24 hours, and you could stretch that over 2 days, so you can do a half trip in the PM and then the rest in the next morning. Now, some of the museums that I went to include the Cistern Museum. It was an underground water system where you could see all the remnants from centuries ago. It cost $22 to explore, and it was cooler than the outside baking heat of the day. So, in a word, refreshing. The other I suggest is the Architecture Museum. This was recommended by John, a history teacher from Buffalo, New York. His family was also staying at my hostel. Coins, sarcophagus, pottery, jewelry, a quick history lesson in the Trojan Wars, Caesar bust statues, and earthquakes from 400 BC times 2. That was about $16. I also paid the entrance fee for Edward, a young man traveling the world with few resources. I bought a souvenir cloth bag for $4, which had an image of Istanbul on the outside, and I used that for the remainder of my trip. I did get to experience famous sites like the Blue Mosque and many other parts of the city, which is split by the Bosphorus. I removed my shoes, dressed modestly, and visited the mosque for no fee. Women had their section, separated from the men. Hagia Sophia, across from the Blue Mosque, is one of the largest enclosed spaces in the world. It's domed, marble, with mosaics, and full of carved riches. I was scolded for showing my legs while sitting down and resting, so I covered them with a scarf. It was a church, a mosque, and then a museum. The Grand Bazaar is the largest covered market in the world. covering more than 50 acres and featuring 4,000 shops on 65 streets. Wow, I walked through several of the 11 gates, heard the noise, smelled the fresh, earthly scents, and spent hours shopping. Trying not to get lost in the maze, too. Now, Topkapi Palace was at the center of the Ottoman Empire for 400 years. The treasury is the jewel room, with an emerald dagger, a spoonmaker's diamond, and enormous uncut emeralds. Think of history within this palace complex: eunuchs, concubines, sultans, and Greek and Arabic manuscripts are here. I found some nice branded hotels with names you would recognize and went to the top floor for some great views. I also found some parks where I could explore and hike, and ate at some diners and other restaurants. Here's one, for example. The restaurant in the Fatih neighborhood in Istanbul is Hidden Garden. Instagram at Hidden Garden TR. It's near everything touristy, but off the beaten path, and I found it a delight. Coming from Israel to Turkey was easy, except for the airport in Istanbul, which had only one Wi-Fi machine. This was 2023, and it was complicated to find it and then access it too. Heading from Istanbul to Italy on Pegasus Airlines, the cost was only $140. Now for today's misstep. I asked for specific directions, listen better, and exchange rates. So these were my missteps in Turkey. I missed the pickup point. I was getting off the hop-on, hop-off bus and should have been more specific about the pickup point. The driver pointed, but I really wasn't paying attention. That caused me a lot of confusion later. It was probably the busiest part of the city and under major construction. I was dangerously lost and finally found someone to help me out, walking back and forth for a long time. It was maybe 30 minutes, but the heat was strong, so I was stressed. Next time, ask for the pickup point. And my second mistake was trying to exchange my cash in a Turkish currency exchange. I got 12 euros for 20 bucks US. That was not a good exchange rate. I should have brought my debit card, so don't make my mistake. And now for today's travel advice. Again, the money exchange. So don't try to exchange money. Try to use your debit card if you can. I want to bring meaning to your future travels, and I want you to also listen to part 2 of the trip to Turkey. I'm going to talk about the island, Princess Island, in just another week. So give a listen.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travelbest, that is.